we're live. Now I can go to all the places and say, hey, let's fix you.
But how are we gonna know what the news is without Pilot here? We'll never
Oh, he'll be
know,
here.
but we'll never know. Might as well have not happened. If Pilot's not here, it doesn't happen.
Tell you what, though, it is nice that I don't have to do everything.
Oh yeah, you wanted me to edit, didn't you?
No, no, no,
You
no.
get
I mean, sure, but no, I would never expect that. I just mean that I am no longer, I had to do everything, pretty
Yeah.
much everything before,
Yeah, I know you're
including
talking.
including actually play the game.
That's alright. Uh, yeah, actually editing kind of I was think I've gone through, like, a little bit of a phase here. Um, I don't wanna, like, dilute the, actual podcast too much, but I don't know, for some reason, about a month ago, I was, like, kinda like, I'm kinda, like, bored with, like, my music, I'm listening to all the same stuff, and on a just, like, the most random whim, I was like, "I wonder if Paramore ever did a live album." I have no idea. I listen to almost no Paramore at that point, and they did. This album's called The Final Riot, and it's amazing, and I'm absolutely hooked on this album. And, like, I didn't know really a lot of the songs, but I'm listening to it, I'm like, I can hear, like, the snare. I can hear, I can feel like I can hear a lot more here, that's weird. And so I actually went to, like, Gemini, right, with Google, and I'm like, "Listen, here's where I'm at, like, I really love this album, like, give me some suggestions." And it gave me, an all-time low. I don't know if you know them.
No.
They did just, like, another punk band, and they did,
Hmm.
like, a DVD recording in, like, 2000. This is, like, 2012-ish, right? And it's awesome. It's another I'm just like, I'm hooked on this album too, and I'm like, "What the heck is going on?" Because I don't really know these bands that well, and I just randomly stumbled into it, and what happened is that somewhere between, like, 2005 and 2015, a lot of bands actually had their music go through like, the audio engineers did this what's called, the loudness wars, and they basically did, like, a compression algorithm on everything and then, like a normalization pass so that it would be a lot better for digital content, like your iPod or whatever. Um, and what ended up happening is that, at least for these, like, punk bands and stuff, that you would lose like, the drummer would just get lost in the noise for like, as an example, right? Which is a shame because that's I value that part of the song. But when it came to, like, a live album, they didn't do that engineering. They just like, it recorded as the band played it. So, like, the song right now, it's like a fine song. But All Time Low did this song called "Lost in Stereo," okay? And I listen if you listen to it from, like, their album that they released and stuff, it's kinda like, "Eh," but if I listen to the live album, I'm like, I can hear, like, everything here. Um, but going back to the audio editing, like, I was like, "What? This is still really bugging me. Like, what is going on here that, like, okay, the engineers have fooled around with it, but, like, I kind of know." And it is that compression because I would do the VS recording, right? And my volume level is different than Zacho's volume level, right? Like,
Hmm.
and he gets really excited at points. I'm pretty constant with my volume level.
Yes,
But
yes, you are.
he'll just, like, whisper, and then he gets really excited about something. Right, I'm gonna blow up people's ears with that. Uh, and, and if you go to, like, when Squash was doing it, Squash didn't really do this pass, so you could actually hear it a lot more then. But what I would do is, right, I would compress it, which basically says, try and balance everything so that the loud is a little bit quieter and the quiet is a little bit louder. And then you do another pass on that that basically does almost the same thing. It's called normalization. Anyway, for anyone who's just like milling around in the before and after the show here, but basically it muddles everything. It's really good for a podcast because you want all of your speakers to have the same level of volume. You can hear
Right.
everybody without the whispers, and because some people just, like, talk really quiet, that's just how they are, and they're a guest on the show, they're not used to projecting, right? Which is fine. Still great guests, so it's a really good thing for podcasts, and it's not awful for audio either, but they just, like, in that period of time between 2005 and 2015-ish, audio engineers were just taking the hammer and pounding this stuff flat. So, but it's one of those things, once you hear it, you can't unhear it. So it's driving me nuts,
So
right? Like, I'm
you
go
just wanna ruin music for me, I understand.
no, just don't think about this. But, like, right
Once you say, "D
now,
hey, you know that thing? Stop thinking about it."
just stop thinking about it.
That's not how that works.
That's not how it works. So I just ruined music for you. Just listen to
No.
live albums and turn off normalization on Spotify, and you'll be kind of amazed, I think, what that's like the difference that sounds like. Um, like, and so you're probably were you a did you like Rush?
No. I
Okay.
find Rush to be one of the most overrated bands of all time. They're
Okay,
fine, but
okay.
I'm
That's
not a
fine.
Rush guy.
Okay, that's fine. Because their album was like one of the most butchered albums um ever for like audio engineering. And so if you listen to I forget what the album is, but like you go like they had a live show in Rio and you can actually hear everything that they're doing because if you don't like them, that's fine, but you can respect that they're kind of creative and they got a lot of different sounds going on, right?
Sure.
Sure, yeah. So, like, but it got lost in the album, but you can really hear it on the live version. All right, Pilot bumped us.
Yep.
I hope he took the
Yeah.
the W.
Hmm?
I hope he got the win.
We'll talk about that in a few.
Yeah.
I still have to play him tonight for CCLS. We were gonna play before,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah.
Oh, how's that going?
So I'm 1 and 2, he's 1 and 2. So,
Mm,
there's still an outside chance. I think if I lose, he might be in, but if I win, I'm not in. So I'm just gonna be
mm,
trying to be the spoiler tonight.
yeah,
And let me
4.
know when you have a chance. I'm sure you're still thinking about it, but what we talked about a couple weeks ago,
Yeah,
not in a rush for it, especially given that it's the new season of Hearthstone. That's usually kind of like when we kind of it's more for the slower seasons.
yeah, yeah, I mean, we can talk about that a little bit. Yeah, life got lifey, as they
Oh yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. And
So,
it's not a huge. It's not like it's like a gaping hole. It was kind of a cool concept, and
no, it's a cool concept, and, yeah, I'm still milling over it, right? It was just when you asked me, the timing was awkward. So,
I'm so awkward.
mm, but yeah, you gotta fill in those, like, kinda lulls. I mean, at a certain point on Vicious Syndicate, we're like, "We're just gonna skip this week. There's nothing to say. The report didn't change. What are we gonna just rant about stuff? That's not really why people came to the
So
podcast."
we only skipped we skipped Memorial Day weekend, and normally we wouldn't, but like we had I had stopped paying for Audition a while ago, and then they finally were like, "Hey, you're not paying for us, so screw." I'm like, "All right, well, let's take the day off. Let's take the week off. I'll have to figure out something to do." And I never figured out like a different thing. So we were coming up on last week where we had two episodes where we had Pat and the Gyminator, and I'm like, I have to do all this. I'm trying to look at like how to edit with Farlight and Riverside and Adobe, not Adobe. God, it's been one of those things. I can't
I
DaVinci
I use
and
I use Audible.
use Audible.
or Audacity. Sorry, not
But
Audible. Audible's the
Audacity, yeah, but
podcast.
it's like still, it's like
Yeah.
I have to learn the new tool, and it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a system, and I have a system that I've been using for 3 years, so I just was like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna pay for another month.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a powerful tool, and I'm sure they're just gonna be like at one point, here's the magic button, and it just does everything for you. So like the editing is like it takes 5 minutes, right? That's the dream for
Yeah.
for anyone who hasn't edited a podcast. It can take a long time.
Well, yeah, it can take a long time, but it can also be really fast. If like so, last week we had hat, everything's fine. So it was like a lot less crosstalk, a lot less things. It was just kind of like a scanning. Do I see any bumps? No. Okay, here's a transition. Let's listen to that. Scanning. You're also pretty good too. Is I usually can you talk a lot, which is good. So I can like take a long like paragraph of whatever. No, that's great. That's great for
Yeah.
editing. It's like, all right, you're talking,
Yeah.
okay. And I usually just focus on the points where we're like if we have a guest on, I kind of scan their bars and say, "Oh wait, they're coughing a lot, or they're tapping and they don't have noise suppression on, or whatever like that." But like when we have like podcasters on or people like that, it's so much easier because it's like you'd be surprised. A lot of streamers they don't listen to they like are banging their mics and whatnot. So it's like it's so different. Well, Pilot, nice of you to
Yeah.
join us today.
Oh, double sound. Yeah, what kind of person would hit their mic or unplug their mic 4 times during a recording? I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, and don't
So
forget we still have to play
professional.
our match tonight after this.
What?
We still have to play our match tonight after
I
this.
know.
So here's the challenge: just play your match while we're recording.
Yeah, yeah,
Focus
yeah,
on
yeah.
you
No,
got the left hand, right hand, different sides of your brain
I,
doing different things.
I could use a couple hours to simmer down after my loss before coming back here.
Oh,
You're not supposed to talk
bummer.
about. You're supposed to talk about it on.
Save
Yeah.
the content for the show, Pilot.
I am. I'm just trying to get the frustration out to be more positive on the show.
Okay, if you
No,
need
no,
to
no,
yell, turn
no.
your mic off.
I
We want you
was,
tilted until the end of the show, so that way you still have a little bit of that tilt when I play you later.
yeah. Especially because I lost in top 8. I lost to someone that I absolutely dominated in the Swiss rounds. But he made good adjustments and then hit some hero top deck outs.
Is this
I got
Lorcana?
I got top
Is
decked 3 turns in a row.
there sideboarding in Lorcana?
No.
Okay. Just your deck is your deck, yeah.
Correct.
Mhm.
No, so you had to build any text that you want and stuff. You had to build in, and normally then it's easier since those cards are also your resources. Like I was playing cards where it's for very specific decks, but I could just ink it and use it as my mana when I didn't need
All
it,
right, cool.
which was most of today. But
All right.
yeah,
So today,
anyways.
pretty simple. We'll go through the spring championship real fast. We'll talk about the escape from Violet Hole. Just go through. We don't really have a whole lot planned, so it doesn't have to be a super long episode. Just catch people up on the new expansion. We'll go pretty deep, probably into the cards that are starting to be revealed tomorrow, next week, and just talk about concepts or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because
Sure.
I was like, oh, I think this is gonna be a long episode. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot to talk
Shit.
about with the expansion.
There is a lot with the expansion. Here, I'll hit enter after them in the show notes so you can just click the link instead of highlighting.
Oh,
I
I've
normally do
already.
that, but I was in
Yeah.
a hurry.
Yep.
This. I didn't get pictures of them, so I'll have to use the card library. That's fine. Okay, sure.
Oh, they've also made some updates to Riverside, so now I have like different things.
Yeah, I had to fight to get in because apparently my Chrome has an update that it wouldn't take. So every time I tried to go in, it said, you're using an outdated version of Chrome. You need to update. I'm like, it won't let me. So I'm on edge.
Is that a pun?
Yeah.
Were you doing
And we
soundboard
got
stuff, or am I freaking out?
It's
no, no, yeah. This is the stuff they've added to.
Hmm. Hmm. I think you need something more like a duck quack.
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
No.
No,
I'm not even part of the
that's
show. I'm just gonna say no.
no, that's from the Born to Be Wild guys. They use that every week. We used it when they were on for the
thievery.
episode that we had them on.
Okay. Should
You
listen to that
almost
show
settled there?
more.
Yeah, I'm settled. I'm just.
I was so hooked on State of Wild. It's been like 3 years, but that was a great show.
Yep, they're definitely with Corbett and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, and they all kind of like took a break right at the same time, so just kind of phased out.
All right, are we all ready?
Yep,
As
I'm
ready
good.
as we're gonna be.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Bread and Butter. We are serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement. This is episode 172, and as always, even if he's kind of late tonight, I'm joined by Pilot. Pilot, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right, and we have one of our favorite returning guests, WorldEight. WorldEight, how are you today?
I'm great. I was actually looking at the numbers, by the way, Tito. This is my 16th appearance, so almost 10% of Bread and Butter I've been on it. So definitely honorary co-host, I think, at this point.
Absolutely. At this rate, you're going to be on it more often than you are on the Vicious Syndicate podcast.
It's catching up. Depends on how long this war goes.
Yeah, well, not laughing at war, just laughing at it's catching up. So what have you been doing inside of Hearthstone?
So for me, I think I I just had a lot of life stuff happen, so I wasn't too compelled with any deck. I'd played like, I don't know, 500 games of Egglock or something, not something like that, but like that was the one deck that I was like, all right, I want to log in and play this, and then I finally like burnt myself out on it, and the meta is pretty hostile to it, which doesn't help. So kind of took like a beat and came back at the beginning of this month, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try something different. So I tried Egg Warrior, completely different, and I did really well. I mean, like all those face hunters, right? Like it was great to see them. A lot of aggro, and you're like, I rarely play control, and I'm always like chastising, like, it's so easy. And I was like playing, and I'm like, yeah, this is really easy. I just gained 1,000,000 armor. Then I summon a pair of like a whole board of 20 twice. Like this was an easy game. But then I was doing well, but then I got bored with it. And I don't know why. I always liked Perennial Serpent. So I was like, okay, what happens if we like build like a Herald Demon Hunter with more of an emphasis on Perennial Serpent? Like you play like Slumbering Sprites and just make it a little bit more aggressive. And that carried me through the Diamond bracket to Legend. I mean, I had the 11x multiplier, so that helps a lot. But it was pretty quick Legend, and I think right now I'm just gonna try a whole bunch of variety stuff before the expansion. I'm a little, you get to, I don't know, I'm just kind of sick of seeing Rexar so much, right? Like it's cool that like a class has multiple options, yeah, but like I'm like, all right, like every other game is Hunter, even if it's a different flavor. Yeah, I'm not too motivated honestly right now to sign in, but I'm super excited for the expansion. So looking forward to July.
Fantastic. I was just looking because I played tonight and I was like, wow, I've seen very little Hunter. I played like 23 games and I only saw Hunter twice. So I was like, maybe the popularity is starting to go down, but who knows? It's just my little pocket. Pilot, what have you been up to inside of Hearthstone?
Not a lot. I had to open up Deck Tracker to see how much and what I've actually played the past week. It was more games than I thought that it was. But just haven't jumped into the new month quite as much yet, just because I've been playing other games or doing other stuff. A little bit of Burn Mage still, just because that's in a decent spot. I did try the rogue that kind of focused on like the lower curve with just Vanessa, not like no Sinestra, no imbue or herald or whatever, just kind of do stuff. Um, and I won my first game very easily and got overconfident and then got demolished my next four and have not opened the client since. Not because of that deck, but I just haven't played since then. Um, Played a couple games of BGs here and there because anomalies are back in, and I had very first game on the with anomalies back. I was playing while I was on my tablet while I was cooking supper, and I got the anomaly that everyone spins the same wheel of Yogg to start the turn, and it gave everyone a golden minion in shop. So everyone had a golden minion on turn one, which gave me a patient scout. And as Tito knows, I am a sucker for patient scout. Um, it was funky. It was a very weird game. I ended up going like a menagerie because of course I did. But I had two golden of the nightmare party T guest or whatever it is that gives you the thing that buffs things of different types, and kind of ran with that. I outscaled shop eating demons somehow. I needed a little bit of scam at the end. They had like one thing that I couldn't kill naturally, so I had to poison it, and then everything else I was able to outscale. Which anyone who's played BGs recently knows that shop buff demons goes insane. So I was very proud of that one.
Nice. And I have new month. My month of saying I can only play good decks is over. So I started the month playing a lot of my Ajara's Triumph Druid, messing around with that. That's still Ajara's Triumph with Krona, still one of my favorite things to do. Not the most consistent, but when it works really, really well, and it's fun. And then I played a little bit more Blood Unholy, and tonight I wanted to just try to make some effort to climb. So I took out some Token Druid and did pretty well there, but hit into a little wall at the end. So now we're at like Diamond 4, I think. So we'll try to finish it off this week. But keeping it simple, having fun. World 8, what have you been doing outside of the game?
So outside of the game, I had some kind of big life stuff happen about a month ago. I'm not going to go too much into that, but then work was kind of like my work life turned upside down. Is the short version of it. One day the office of the CTO was empty, and then the next week a new guy was there, and the directive is now AI first for everything. Where before, we're a technical business. I'm an engineer within that, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna see how this goes, right? Like we're gonna take it with some caution." And now the CTO is like, the first thing you should do is you should use Claude Code. Like that is step one for everything you do going forward. And yeah, I see some shaking of the head here for those who can't see this on the podcast. I think a lot of us are very hesitant, and we're like, what the heck? Right? Like we can acknowledge that this is a great tool and powerful, but it shouldn't be what's driving the technology of a technology organization, uh, because we have a ton of domain knowledge amongst all the employees, amongst just like our code base goes back 20 years, right? Like it's not like it's not awful considering like that number, but there's just a lot of little gotchas in there just over time. And anyway, it's just he came in fast and furious, and some of us were starting to speak up, and then other offices started being emptied, and no one's really talking about it. So we're all kind of falling in line right now. Uh, for better or worse, I mean it's a really exciting space, but I don't know if we should be, in my opinion, taking the hammer to things like that. Otherwise, on sort of happier news, I am going to Disney again tomorrow. We're going for a week. The boys just got they last day of school last Friday, which is a little early for anyone who doesn't have kids. This is about 2 weeks roughly earlier than most schools. So hopefully quieter this week. It's never quiet at Disney, of course, but even if you get, 20% off ride times, right? That's still great. So we'll see how it goes. And hopefully have a great time.
Tito, you're muted.
I just realized that. Pilot, I said Pilot's been off for weeks already. And
A week.
you were talking about your code base being like 20 years old. The code base that I work on is about as old as I am. And we just finished doing a migration from Fortran to C++. So it's definitely it's like it's weird because I'm not a young man, not by a long shot, and to have code that old is it's pretty interesting. But Pilot, what have you been up to? Anything interesting happening? Maybe today?
Yeah, just rub it in. It's fine. Um, so, uh, don't shrug at me.
I just said if anything, I'm just leading you into the topic. I wasn't being judgmental.
So I am. That's okay. So yeah, the non-exciting stuff is because I'm out of school. I'm trying to tackle a bunch of summer projects. So I've been my the landscape around my house has been I'm going to do this summer project for the past 4 years, I think. So this is the summer it's actually getting done, and just kind of trying to work on it in little bite-sized pieces. So I got about half of the one that I was working on kind of torn up and cleaned up, to then I have my parents coming who have a better eye for landscaping than I do to say, hey, this would look good here. Perfect. Let's go do that. um so just kind of working through that, and I've worked through most of what I needed to at school to finish up the year. There's stuff that I probably should have done, like finding the rest of my desk at school, but it can wait for another week because I need to be out of the building. Outside of that, Lorcana Set Champ started this month, which is really early. This set has 1 month shorter until the next set because they're trying to bump up the rotation schedule. Last year they introduced rotation to Lorcana, and with how it kind of fell with when they wanted like world championships and everything else, it put it in a really bad spot. So they shortened this one. And to do that, they had set champ starting about 3 weeks after the set officially released. So everyone went in a little blind and a little like, don't know what to do. Um, so I played in one yesterday where didn't know what to play, kind of forgot that it was coming up until like on Wednesday. I'm like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I'll go play in this one. So I took the purple steel that I was playing last set, and I saw that there's an aggro version of it that's close to the purple green one that I was playing. I'm like, sure, I know how to do that. I can turn my cards, gain lords, basically like playing Face Hunter. I'm like, I can do that, and ended up just barely sneaking into top 8. I was the only 3-2 to make it into top 8. And then won against the, you know, kind of accepted best deck in the first round, and then lost to a matchup that I should have won because I bricked hard in the last game. And he played super well. It's a guy that I've played with multiple times locally. So got fourth there, got my, fancy top 8 promo. And then today played in another one, took a different deck. They added Toy Story this set. So I wanted to play, they added toy decks to where they made toys like kind of like a minion type in Hearthstone. Um, and there's an Amber Ruby toy deck that I'm like, this looks like it is totally my jam. And it is very much my jam. So I played it today. I had to borrow a couple cards to make it work. I went undefeated in Swiss. I'm like, okay, this is good. It was a lot of random stuff that I was playing because we had people from like, we had probably like 8 people from 2 hours or more away, which was surprising. It was a lot busier this one than it normally is. A lot of random decks. I'm like, I feel okay. I was playing in top 8 against someone who I absolutely rolled through in the Swiss. And then he made some really good adjustments and got the top decking luck that I had yesterday on Saturday, and I lost my first top 8 matchup. So little frustrating because I think I was set up pretty well for the rest of top 8, especially seeing who won from there. There's one person to where I'm like, I'm not sure if I have any game against their deck, but the others I would have been pretty comfortable against, I think. But the last 2 games, I don't know if I don't know if I got too greedy in my mulligan or not greedy enough or a little too comfortable thinking, yeah, I'll win this one fairly easily like I did in Swiss. But I also top decked removal 3 turns in a row. that would have let me stabilize. So little flustered because this is a set that I really want to chase the champion play mat. But we'll see. There's still 4 or 5 weeks left, and there's a lot of them that can actually make it. But being able to, hit top eight both, especially with how little I play compared to others, because I normally play Hearthstone as my top game, I will very, very gladly take.
Fair enough, and well done. I mean, even though you didn't win, getting top 8 is always pretty good. WorldEight
Yeah,
has it in his name. So,
it's a little hard. Oh, it's a little hard to like, looking in retrospect, being like, yeah, I got knocked out first thing in top eight, but the Sora today does their prizing after Swiss, and he does store credit, but he does the value of a booster box for first place. So it's like it's a little bit hard to be sour after a free tournament winning $144 in store credit. I'm like, I shouldn't be sad about this. I'm sad that I lost, but I shouldn't be sad about this. I did pick up some toys from that and stuff. I actually picked up an Illustrals booster box because they have a bunch of them there. And after talking to Hat last week, I'm like, sure. They were they had at a decent price.
and after talking to Hat last week, is that also what motivated you to start working on your landscaping that you've been putting off for
Yeah,
years?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Just just
Yeah.
just do stuff, just get stuff done instead of staring at it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. And for me, it's been pretty quiet as far as life. We went to my town. I live in a small town and or smallish town, and like they always have like things downtown. Like we have a pumpkin regatta and whatever. And this weekend was No Homes Day, which are not No Homes Day. I'm sorry, Old Home Day, and No Homes Day. That's a little different. Old Home Day, and it's basically the same thing, but it's like half as popular as that goes. So, you go down, they didn't have enough food trucks. They didn't have any food trucks. They had like mini pancakes and donuts, and one place was making a hot dog. I want to go there for the sausage and the food and whatnot, but there was nothing. But we basically, my son's taekwondo master had a booth there, so we were kind of hanging out there for a little bit. But outside of that, just some yard work and doing the normal things. I have decided, and I've decided this many times over the last few years, is that I'm going to stream a little less because I need to focus on trying to make some other content. But what usually ends up happening is I usually get tired, and then I'm like, well, you know what? I just want to play video games. And if I'm just going to play video games, I might as well throw up the stream and whatnot. But like, I'm really looking and trying to like figure out how to grow all of it. Like the podcast, the YouTube channel, streaming, and it's like, so how did people do it? And it's like with Hearthstone being such an old game, it's not easy, and it's like you got to figure out how to engage more people and not just like the 7 people that are looking to play the deck that I'm playing or whatever like that. So I'm trying to look into that, and I'm spending more time like why like who. If you think about anybody that's done this recently and has become and recently is the most recent person I could think of that's really had a lot of success is Raren, right? He really came from like out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he was about to give up, and all of a sudden, he figured it out. He solved the formula, and became really popular. It's like, well, what is he doing differently than like most people are? I'm trying to study stuff like that and figure out how I'm going to do that. So, in theory, I'm going to pick a couple nights where I don't stream, or most nights I don't stream, and only stream a couple nights, including this night for the podcast, playing out timing, editing, and all that, and then just see if I can start to find. It's going to be weird because I don't want to go too off brand for the upcoming month because I can, it's expansion season and you want to try to put expansion content out there. But outside of that, I'm like, well, what can I do to make things a little more interesting and a little more it's called like TAM or something like that. It's like to reach like people to pull in all people regardless of like if it's like a pro or a beginner or someone that's never seen it. You want to be more interesting to everybody. So I think it's interesting. I've been doing a lot of reading and watching videos and trying to learn there. So that's been my focus. Um, but speaking of focus, I believe some people were focused on winning the spring championship this weekend, right, Pilot? I'm assuming you didn't catch much, given that you were playing Lorcana all weekend.
I caught some Friday because I was actually home Friday. I kind of did the reverse of what I normally do. Normally, I don't see anything on Friday because of school and catch a little bit on Saturday and Sunday. But yes, we had the Spring Masters Tour where talked about it last week was the qualifiers from each region on from the play-in, playoffs, and points. And then we have the top 3 qualify for Worlds. So the Worlds qualifiers are Fatty and Curfew, and the winner of the whole tournament as well being Sawyerin, showing that if you are the best dressed in your promotional picture, you're guaranteed to do better because he was the only one in a suit jacket that I saw. um, but yes, it was Sawyerin in the final over. Was it Curfew? Yes, Curfew.
Over curfew.
Um, as far as decks that were played, all 16 players brought some version of Druid or Hunter, with 13 Marithra and 3 Token Druids, and then 12 Face Hunters and 4 Companion Hunters. A lot of 11 Rogues, 9 Quest Mages, and then kind of just a handful of stuff for everything else. Dragon Warrior, Herald Shaman, No Minion DH, Burn Mage, Egg Warrior, and Quest Warrior to fill out the decks. From what I saw, and from kind of just seeing some people chatting along, I don't know if there was much super unexpected from the tournament, other than it is a little bit interesting kind of seeing, for me at least, seeing it how little Demon Hunter was brought, and then also hearing them talk about, at least in the competitive scene, and especially for Conquest, it's kind of fallen off because I think with Companion Hunter, especially Rising, it's a little bit more easily targeted. Um, and it went from that being kind of the deck that you base everything around to where now it's kind of definitely faded away. Which still you see it with the Marithra Drew as the Egg Warriors and things like that that could potentially um, target it. But did either of you catch very much of it or have any kind of stuff that you noticed?
WorldEight.
I didn't catch. I only caught one thing, which was this Peter Winter got knocked out. And if you didn't see it, basically it was a turn 6. Was it Life Bloom, the new 9-mana druid spell, summoning the Warrior 13/13 and an Illidari Inquisitor.
Oh,
After his opponent had double ramped with Treants, so that was out on turn 4, and he kind of just exploded. And I was rooting for him for a few reasons. He was, I played against him very briefly in the MTQ. He was quite the gentleman there. For the brief interactions that we had, and he kept me on his friend list, which was nice, and we just kind of chatted a little bit here and there afterwards. And so, internet friend or whatever. But I was also rooting for him because there was this whole controversy with Yukio, who was playing. I don't know if you guys caught this. Who was playing under a pseudonym for like another player, and which got him banned. Right, like this, he had a different battle tag, and he was playing outside of his region, and so he got banned. And so Peter Winter came in as he was the 9th place, and he got into 8th place, and so that's how he got into this tournament. So it was kind of like a Cinderella story. So you gotta root for like the ultra underdog who wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. So, but he got knocked out pretty fiercely, which is a shame, just to see like that RNG just completely wipe the floor. So that's all I really caught of it. But it's I'm glad that the esports keeps going, and we'll see what it looks like with Worlds coming very early this year, right? Like we're talking 3 months early, so it feels like it's going to be imminent, right? So pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, I caught some matches. I caught Brownie Batter, I believe against Monkey Flip. Caught that, and apparently this guy named Brownie Batter, like no one knows where he's from. It was like I guess he's an arena streamer, but or a player, but like even like Googling him and looking for him, they're like, yeah, we don't know where he's from. So don't know what region. I will say, so I watched the finals series, kind of like half and half because I had just gotten back to Massachusetts and I was doing some other things. I like playing Token Droid, but at the same time, I was watching the match, which is something you shouldn't be doing because you should be focused on the game you're playing. But anyway, um, do you want? So, Pilot, you said you felt bad today after your little Canna match. You want to know what really feels bad? Two
I
to
can
two.
imagine because I've been on the match that World 8 described. I've been on the receiving end of those a couple times before as well.
Okay, so the winners, Soirin and Curfew, 2 and
Hmm.
2. Curfew is playing a quest mage, and he knows that his opponent has a Viper.
Yep.
And his opponent had a Viper in the hand in the final game, so that has just to feel bad. He put up a solid effort and tried to get the big boards and whatnot, but it just didn't work out for him. And but just knowing it's like this is the last deck I have to play. This is our last game, and it's
Yeah.
like I'm playing a quest mage and they got a Viper. That's just sad. But yeah, Soyun played really well, and yeah, everybody one thing I did notice is there aren't a lot of known names here, at least for me. Like, I mean, I like to think I'm fairly not connected, but like I pay attention a little bit, right, to this stuff, and a lot of these names are new to me. Like it's like a changing of the guard, really, because a lot of the older people like are switching into things like we you see Pocket Train casting, and we'll see McBannerface, I'm sure, and stuff like that. But like a lot of the old Gabby was in there, but outside of that, there's a lot of new names here. So that could be interesting. I wish we still had the production of like the old days where it's like, hey, this is the story behind Soirin or whatever, and it's like you get to get a little background and like, oh, that person's from San Diego, cool. I like the story, and you start to root for people based on kind of like the little vignettes they would do or whatever like that. So I like that we have a bunch of new people, but it's also kind of like who do you root for? Like you had some thoughts on how to like you root for somebody that you knew, what are they? But like it's like how do you pick somebody to root for at this point when they're all new to you? So it's like you gotta get some of these guys out there more often and see them and all that. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, how hard would it be for everybody to submit like a 30-second blurb, right? That they get to like kind of self-promote. That'd be pretty cool. But I think what you're saying is a result of that they're trying a new tournament structure, right? A lot more of these open qualifiers, a lot more of people, using their points to go through the qualifiers in general, right? Like normally, and I know this was like started last year, but I think you're seeing a lot more even this year where what was it? Was it Brazil or something? Really early on, where like they kind of swept um, the qualifiers because they all kind of like figured out the right decks for the meta,
Yep.
and like that was really impressive to see that kind of effort come together. Where those players probably wouldn't have qualified on letter points. Like no offense, but like that was a different strategy. So I think we're seeing some unknowns here, and that's actually really good. And I hope some of these players are encouraged to, keep coming back and maybe start streaming. It'd be great to see, new life and no offense, Tito, but like the more streaming, the better for the game. If that's more competition to you,
Hmm.
because more options for people who are casually enjoying Hearthstone. Like, I don't always get a chance to play. Like maybe I'm doing two things at the same time, but I can prop up Twitch, put my headphones on while I'm doing dishes or whatever. And that's kind of cool to have that as an option to be like, all right, I'm not feeling this guy playing rogue. I'm not feeling this guy playing rogue. Oh, this guy's playing like token druid. This is kind of more my speed, but like that's not always, the more options the better, really.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But yeah, and
it
then
was
and
interesting. Oh,
okay.
like kind of going to your point to where we do have a lot of new faces. Have a couple faces that are kind of returning that haven't been around for a while, like Yarla. Qualified for this to where it's been a couple years I think since Yarla's been this far, at least this noticeable in it that I remember. So that was kind of cool to see. This Demon has been around and just consistently there. It feels like I was a little bit surprised that I saw that he lost the third place match. A little bit little bit disappointed for them just because they've been so close and just been at all these tournaments consistently. Feel like their time's coming. Gabby came out of the woodwork again. Like it seems to a couple times a year. And then a couple others that you see their names kind of constantly pop up here and there in like those play-ins and playoffs, like Digo is one that you see a lot. But it is fun to see kind of the new blood, and interesting to see. It's just like, okay, there is kind of hopefully a next phase of competitive player coming in as kind of the old guard phases out.
Yeah, none of these guys are competition for me, Worldy. I am everybody is competition for me, so I'm not too worried about it. But all right, so Pilot, do we have any news this week?
So I did want to chime in because you were mentioning the Quest Mage thing. That was one of the big targets in the tournament I saw, and they talked about. There are a lot of Vipers going around because they knew that Quest Mage is going to be very prevalent. If you are someone who goes and copies tournament deck list, take the Viper out before you take it on ladder, most likely. It might be worth it depending on where you're at, but if you copy a deck list, there's going to be a couple weird deck choices in there, namely Vipers. That is your warning. As far as other news, we had the announcement before, and now we have the actual announcement of the new set, Escape from Violet Hold, which was announced, and we had the patch, which I don't have the patch notes in front of me, so we'll get to that here soon as well. But new patch will be dropping July 7th, and it features a prison break theme. So it's a group of outlaws as they hatch a plan to break out of Dalaran's maximum security prison. For this, they posted the cinematic trailer with a song. We have a song again, and then the expansion reveal with a lot of the devs and parts of the team. We know that Vanessa Van Cleef is kind of the center of the expansion. And then with Maiev Shadow Song being, the warden and kind of the other side of things. Things that they're doing for this, we have not a new keyword on the card, but kind of a new thing that they're doing. Each class is getting a legendary rule breaker minion, where it breaks a core rule of Hearthstone for specifically that card and that class when that card is in the deck. So we had a few of these that were revealed to kind of show the idea of them. So we got Warriors, Chainbreaker Hogger, an 8 mana 10/10 taunt. Start of game, duplicate all other legendary cards in your deck. We got Death Knight, which is Blood Doctor Talina. 5 mana 4/5 undead battle cry, get a second hero power that costs corpses. And we also got the Demon Hunter one in the reveal. Irida Sinseeker, 4 mana 7/5 lifesteal battle cry. Send your deck to the void at the start of your turns. Get 2 cards from the void. So we have a few more that we'll talk about when we get to cards later on. But that's kind of one of the cycles and with the legendary cards that they're doing, kind of breaking some of the rules. We also got a new keyword, prepare. The way that prepare works is it's kind of like tradable or forge, where you'll drag the card to your deck to do the thing with it. And when you prepare, it will reduce that card by your remaining mana +1. So if you have 2 mana left and prepare, it'll reduce the cost by 3. And that was revealed in the stream with the legendary, which is also the free legendary we got for the pre-release patch. Vanessa the Ringleader, a 6 mana 4/4 prepare. After you play a card, get a random battlecry minion. It costs 2 less. So you're able to reduce the cost of those cards on earlier turns. Kind of similar to what we did with Forge, just it's not a set amount that it's changing it for. It's whatever mana you have +2. We'll get to the others as we get to cards later on. As far as other cycles and things that we got, they are doing a cycle of disguised minions, where for the first time in Hearthstone, you can play minions on your opponent's side of the board. So that was shown with the warrior card, Disguised Watchman. Can be played on either side of the board. Battlecry deal 1 damage to all other friendly minions twice. So we'll get some of those minions, as well as they have some bribes, where those are spells where they give you a very powerful effect, but also give your opponent something. So like the Rogue has a deadly bribe, 3 mana to destroy a minion and give your opponent a coin. And Demon Hunter got a 2 mana dark bribe, draw 3 cards, pick one to give to your opponent. So those were all in the kind of initial thing. We'll talk about cards individually later on. They are doing a pre-release Tavern Brawl again. They did tell us for this one, when they're rolling out a new format where you'll build a deck only using cards from this set, and you can use cards from any class together in one deck. So they're doing a little bit more similar to like a, you know, sealed format or whatever in a traditional card game, to where you open your packs and it doesn't matter what class they go in, you just put your deck together. The difference here being a lot of times in those formats and events, you have a very limited number of packs. If you opened all your pre-purchase bundles, you have a lot of cards to build with, and something will probably be broken. But that is a July problem, or end of June problem to deal with and discuss later. Pre-orders are out. They have the bundles up and all of that. So all of that was announced, and those videos are on the website and on the Hearthstone channels to kind of check out as well. Tito,
One
thoughts?
one Well,
Oh,
one thing to note on the pre-release brawl, I don't think it's listed in this particular thing, but there I believe you get all the commons for
yes.
the yes. So if you're like, I only have 3 packs, how am I going to even make a deck? You have access to all the commons, so you can make a pauper deck with your 1 legendary or whatever like that. So the rule breakers, like, I think are very interesting so far. My first thought was, oh my god, this is going to break wild, because that's like, we look at standard like, yeah, you can get through, this is fine, but like the people like Mark McKay is super excited, um because he's going to be able to break all kinds of rules. But yeah, so I think this is going to break some wild. But I do like what we're doing here, and I do like kind of like the traps here. Oh, so Chainbreaker Hogger, 8 mana, 10/10, taunt, start a game, duplicate all your legendary cards in your deck. From what I understand too, has like a lower priority than some of the other start of game effects. So I believe that if you have the Dragon Soul, it splits, and then these will all get copied. And I'm also assuming that if you're playing a Reno deck, your Reno deck like start of game effect will take place before Chain Hogger copies everything. I could be wrong about that, but the order in which these things happen matter in some ways, and I think that this is going to be they're going to make this in a way that you'll want to play it with other starter game effects, and it would be fine. Um,
Mhm.
I think this is a trap, like in some ways, because I think that there's a lot of powerful things you can do with this, but I think that if you just start putting in legendaries and making copies of these super expensive legendaries, you're just kind of diluting your deck and whatnot. But if like you are very targeted with the legendaries you provide in that, like I want to get like, for example, if you're making something around Vanessa Van Cleef, um, she's an engine, but like you only have one of her, right? So if you can get 2 of her and that's your engine and everything else tailored around that, I think that can be interesting. But like if you start just jamming in all kinds of legendaries because they're strong, I don't think it's going to be as good as you think it is. But maybe I'm wrong. What are your thoughts on the rule breaking?
Yeah, so I think the rule breaking is it's compelling, right? One of the things going into the class sets that they said on their video was we want each class to have distinguishable like win conditions, right? And I don't think I really saw that too much out of the class sets, but I'm feeling it here. Maybe not like win conditions, but if I'm playing against a Hogger deck, it kind of reminds me of Rafam, right? Where it's like, all right, I put this in my deck with a very specific deck building purpose. Uh, Maybe it's, this is a deck that's copied to 5%, 10% of the meta, but Uh, it is a trade-off, like you were saying, Tito, for some of these, like Hogger, but for other ones that we're gonna cover, like they just seem like slam dunks. Like
Mhm.
just these cards gonna go in. Because I love cards like Benedictus, where you're like, all right, I've got this legendary start a game. I'm gonna build my deck around this start a game effect. That's a lot less generic than Gen and Baku, right? Gen and Baku were like, all right, if you're playing a certain type of deck, they're like just completely crazy. If not, then good luck in this format. Here, it's very much feels very class specific, which is cool. And we've only seen a handful of them, so we're gonna see what else they bring to the table here. But I like the swinging for the fences. When I first like glanced at these, I'm like, come on, this is just quests again, right? Like, how is a quest different? It's just like it's you play it on turn one, but that's your start of game effect. But you do have to do steps and you do get a reward, but this is you're still playing your whole deck and you still get your full hand. It's not quite it doesn't have that sameness as Imbue or quests, right? Because
Yeah.
you could really be flexible, and we'll go through. I hope we talk more about like the shaman one, for example, is
Yes.
like really thought provoking. We'll get to that hopefully a little bit later. I like the rules breaking. I love the theme of the set. Like it's just fantastic. It's got that like Nathria vibe to me, where it's like this is somewhat serious, but it's still Hearthstone, so it's gonna be a little goofy at times,
Mhm.
or semi-serious. Like the video was terrific. I felt like the music was like a little like off pace, but that's fine. It was a good video. I was glad to get it. Um, and I think some of the other mechanics are pretty interesting too, like the enraged creature. I think I would be all for it if we had Anima Extractor, right? Like, uh, like, we got
Oh my
Risky
gosh.
Skipper. Like it's a risky skipper type minion, which is always really interesting to me if we get the actual correct support to it. Um, and so I think there's a lot of really interesting, cool things going on here. Prepare, great mechanic, right? Like you're sacrificing a
Mhm.
ton of tempo for this huge swing turn, right? So I love things where it's like, all right, I'm defenses down for a turn because the hurt is coming, and I just love those sort of trade-offs. We've already seen some Vanessa make an impact here, where it's
Yep.
not like completely busted, but people are doing interesting things with her. Mostly rogue, which is not surprising because they have a lot of ways to generate coins and zero cost spells, things like that. But Druid can use this pretty easily too. It's got a whole bunch of low cost stuff. I think it also, she has more potential than what we're realizing with her right now. Like imagine putting this as your top end for like a really heavy aggro deck, right? Kind of
Mhm.
like we did with Hearth, right? Sometimes you're like, all right, I ran out of gas. I guess turn 5, I'm gonna prep her, and then turn 6, I'm just gonna go because when you play her, if your battle cry costs 2, that's a 0 cost that gives you another one, and you fill up your board and you fill your hand. But you could see that already with the preparers that you are giving up some kind of tempo loss for a big payoff. Those kind of decisions really appeal to me in the game. They're non-linear. You do have to take a risk. You have to assess that risk and move forward. So right now, really excited for this set. Can't wait to talk more about some of these cards. Yeah, so positive first impressions at least.
All right, excellent. I do want to say that I don't think we should go through every single I think we have a few warlock cards, but I think we should wait till we have most of the warlock cards revealed. But we should talk about like
Yeah.
the key that so we're not going to talk about every card that's been revealed so far. We're going to kind of just talk about like the big ones that were announced, and then we'll because otherwise we're just going to be repeating ourselves when we come back, or we don't have enough information. Because it's
Yep.
interesting to look at some of these cards and be like, what is going on? But Pilot, you have any thoughts before we move on to the cards, or?
Not much on the expansion. Couple other just key things from the patch. So 35.6 is out. That's always the one that does pre-release. No constructed changes. Arena did have they reduced the appearance of Herald cards because Herald was busted, and then they made dual class and made it extremely busted. So they reduced the appearance of the Herald cards with this one. Those decks have probably started to cycle out that were pre-patched, so maybe that is in a little bit better state. We have 2 events that are on this, as well as a legendary quest line. So Prison Break is going on right now through June 16th, where gives you a random unowned light hero skin from Year of the Pegasus, Escape from Violet Hold pack, Golden Cataclysm pack, 2 Tavern tickets, and 2 Tunneling Geomancers, which is a new card from Escape the Violet Hold. They're doing a couple of them in the events leading up to it, in addition to the Vanessa free one. So Tunneling Geomancer is a 3 mana 2/3 prepare and spell damage +1. I've seen that this has popped into some of the burn mages and leyline mages a little bit, because you can find a turn where you're fine floating a couple mana and then you have a free spell damage. After that one is done, we have Lockdown event from June 16th to July 7th with the next patch. That is going to give a Warden Maiev Rogue Hero skin, 3 Violet Hold packs, 1 Cataclysm pack, 2 Tavern tickets, and then a couple of cards from the new sets. Commissary Crook, 3 mana, 4/3 undead, prepare. Battlecry, spent all your mana, summon a random minion of that cost. That is a Druid card. And then also Deadly Bribe, the Rogue Bribe that we were talking about earlier. And it says when some of the free cards will be granted in upcoming patches. And then starting June 9th, there will be a legendary quest chain happening that'll give a couple of packs from Violet Hold and Cataclysm, 1 regular, 1 golden for each of those. BG's added anomalies and had a minion refresh. So if you went into BG's and were surprised by what's happening there is their big kind of mid-season change. And I think those are the big things. There's a decent number of bug fixes, but nothing that overly stood out, other than they fixed a bunch of kind of inconsistencies that probably had very specific situations where they would come up.
A couple other quick notes. I don't know any details on it, but there's apparently, if you buy $80 worth of rune stones, you get like a free legendary from the set, but I don't know if you can then use those rune stones to purchase the bundles or not. So don't do that until you validate that you can purchase it. But like if you want the extra legendary, it might be worth it. So just keep an eye out for that. Also, if you are enjoying the free 2 sets that you had for the last 3 months or whatever it's been, those go away. You no longer have access to the free cards from the previous sets. So hope you had fun. I'd be interested to hear from you all if like that affects you at all. So I'm assuming that if you're listening to a podcast about Hearthstone, you might not. You might be more than a casual player. So just we'd like to hear from you. So go ahead and tweet at us or reach out at the Discord or whatnot. But right, so we've already
Does it
talked
count
about
as affected if it makes it to where my decks aren't fancy anymore? I'm like, I have a lot of full golden decks I didn't know I had. I'm like, oh yeah, I have all these free golden cards from those 2 sets now, but they're gonna go back to not shiny.
yeah, or I mean you can probably, craft some if you need it. I'm sure you have plenty of dust.
I would have to hit the button then, and that's a scary
You don't have to hit the
proposition.
button. You just
I
have to
do.
go through and find
I spent a lot of upgrading decks. I played a lot.
That's fair. No, but I don't know. I never have like I don't think I would need to buy a pack for like at least a year, and I'd have more than enough dust to craft everything. And I just I never I don't hit the button, but I can selectively go through. And like when we have a rotation, I don't delete cards 'cause I play wild, but I do delete goldens, and that gives you a lot of extra. Anyway, we don't want to go into that right now. Violet, before we move on, do you want to have any thoughts on the Chainbreaker Harger?
Um, I I'm interested to see the big thing that I'm looking at is like right now, as we were kind of talking about it, I looked at what's in there. Warrior only has 2 legendaries that cost less than 6 right now. And one of them is the Quest. The other one is Bulwark. And extra Bulwark does seem okay in a very slow deck. That might be an all right proposition, but everything else is 6 or more. And we don't have a ton of like neutral legendaries that we would want to duplicate. Um, but anytime that we have this effect, then that is something to look at. Of, if we get to a spot where actual just straight up Herald warrior is in a good spot, a second reg is probably not the worst thing in the world if we're okay with having an 8/10 sitting in the deck.
And a second Umbra.
So yeah, like there's a lot of stuff like that to where, I know in the reveal video they use the fabled Logosh as kind of the reference with the blood fighters, to where then you've got more options and likelihood to have an extra one in hand to where you're going to cycle through them. But I'm sure that there's something more broken that we can find to do with it later on, especially if we
I
have cheaper legendaries.
I mean, immediately it goes in Egg Warrior. Like Egg Warrior loves this
Yes.
card.
Yes.
Double your eggs, double your Noblia, like double your Umbra. It's disgusting in Egg Warrior. I'll just tell you
Yes.
that right now.
I did look at egg. I'm like, yep, that's probably good.
All right. So Death Knight gets a Blood Doctor Thalia. Thalinia? Whatever. Anyway, 5 mana, 4/5, Battle Cry. Get a second hero power that costs corpses. And this is a hero power that goes give a minion +3 attack. This costs corpses instead of mana. So a nice corpse spender. We don't really have any corpse spender rewards at the moment. So, but this would be really nice if they brought back uh necrotic explosion. But like this, I think this is an interesting concept because one has I should mention that Blood Doctor Thalnia has a 1 blood rune, so this is not going in your triple unholy Death Knight. But I'm assuming that we could figure something out with 2 green, 1 red or something. I think it's a nice balance of things. It's the corpse spender if we have any corpse spender payouts, but also it's like if you don't, this is value for those corpses that you're not using. So I like the concept of this. I think it's smart. I think it's interesting, and I'm hoping that we get some kind of payout for the spenders in this set, but I don't know yet. So we obviously don't know yet. World 8 excited to have 2 hero powers on Death Knight.
I'm excited to have 2 hero powers. I love that design space.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've been like, why can't Warrior do double wield? Like that's kind of cool. It's a thing that does in World of Warcraft. Let the warriors like keep slamming into people. That seems good. This hero power seems really strong, in my opinion.
Yes.
I haven't been playing like a ton of Herald Death Knight, but I've played enough of it that I feel like I've got plenty of corpses. And the reveal video shows him using it on a ghoul, but this is a permanent +3 attack as far as I know, right? So you put this on your 2/5 lifesteal, and now it's a 5/5 lifesteal, and it's curves right into this, right? Like if that guy or the girl lives on turn 4 going into 5, all of a sudden you have this very beefy, and that happens every turn. Where you got your morbid swarms to juice this up. Um, You've got a whole bunch of these like hero or attack matters cards from the last set too that we kind of forgot about. There's the
Mm-hmm.
one that refreshes mana crystals. There's one that gives you a damage spell, and you don't have to spend mana right on this. So you play that, and boom, you've got a 6/1 uh, spell basically. It's on the board as a 6/1, the little dragon, and then you get that damage spell later. And you could just keep juicing it up if your opponent ignores it. Put it on a
You
Twilight
also
Egg, right? Like a lot of options here. Really like this card, and it's also not. You don't have to build around it either. It's just like a really great card to slam on 5 if you can.
you also have the imbue hero power too, which no one's used, but maybe if we have this and you combine it with that, who knows?
We don't talk about the Imbue hero
No,
power.
I don't think
Well,
you want the imbue hero power with this, because the imbue hero power does this but worse. Like,
yeah, but you
Yeah.
can do them together. You can get them all together. I don't know. We'll see.
but then you lose your ghoul.
That's all right.
I don't think that's all right because like I'm looking at this from the I know it can't go in triple unholy because it's got a blood rune, but the triple unholy player in me is looking at this and seeing 2 mana 4 damage with the ghoul plus this. Because especially if you're not running triple unholy and using your corpses for like grave strength and stuff like that, you've probably got the 3 corpses there, and that's just a lot of damage that builds up over time. It is permanent, like WorldEight talked about. It's not a this turn. It's just give a minion +3 attack. Period. So yeah, I think that this finds its way. I'm a little disappointed, Tito, that you forgot that we do have a corpse spending payoff in standard right now because we have the quest that cares about spending corpses. This doesn't fix the quest, but we do have the quest that cares about spending corpses. Would the quest be playable if we had Necrotic Explosion back in standard as that being the top end then? I just thought
I
of that
think
as
the
you were talking about it.
Maybe, but I think what the quest really needs is a keyword. It needs taunt or reborn. It needs something that like
Rush.
affects the board, right? Rush. It's something that affects the board on the turn, and not because that's the problem. It's like
But
you're like, hey, I completed my quest. They're like, great, you're dead. Who cares?
it does have
So
the keyword. It has the keyword death rattle. What you don't know is death rattle is you. You are the one dying when you play it, unfortunately.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, I like this a lot though.
Next we have 4 mana 7/5 Irdra Sinseeker, Lifesteal, Battle Cry. Send your deck to the void at the start of your turn. Get 2 cards from the void. This is a really really strange one because it's not a start of the game effect. So you're not starting with deck, but as soon as you do this, you're getting 2 cards. But your deck is gone, so you start taking fatigue damage. But from what I understand, you also can shuffle cards back into your deck, so I
Yep.
don't know if that means you'll start getting 3 cards a turn if, like, you shuffled a bunch of cards, somehow get a bunch of cards back into your deck, and now you're getting 2 from the void, 1 from your deck. I don't know. It's weird. Um, I think it's interesting. I'm sure there's, like, some synergy with the cards that are gonna be coming out with, but they said that we're not gonna get that much synergy, right? Like, maybe it's just that they're not having the same keyword. So I don't know. I think this one's interesting. It's hard to kind of put your head around until we see the cards on this one, but it's definitely different. I'm surprised this feels more like a warlock thing than a demon hunter thing, maybe. But I don't know. I don't really have strong thoughts or opinions on this one yet. What do you think there, Mr. Eight?
I think this card's terrific. Might be kind of busted. Basically you're saying 2 cards a turn. That's great. Yeah, you have to face the fatigue. I didn't really think about it, but like, don't the portals go back in your deck, and then you're like, boom, 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 Broxigar, right? Like, wouldn't you basically be setting yourself up for like an instant Broxigar, especially if you had Nesferith, on the board? I mean, that's a lot of things going all at once, but just in general, this promotes very aggressive deck playing, right? Like, 'cause you don't care if you're taking fatigue if your opponent's dead, right? Like you like the 2 cards a turn part. Right, because the fatigue math is roughly turn 5, I'm gonna take a damage. Turn 6, I'm gonna take 2 damage. It's not until like this is on curve, by the way. Like, it's not until turn 10 that I've taken like, or I think it's like turn 8, like I've taken 10 damage, and hopefully by then they're dead after I played a 7/5. Right?
Mhm.
That's like a decent that's a you punch it once, or you play this on turn 6, right? Like, and you've got really good reload going into the second half of a game. So yeah, you kind of like put yourself in a pickle here with the fatigue damage, but Demon Hunter also still has like a ton of lifesteal effects, like the Herald card does, gives you lifesteal. You have I Beam. You still have the Axis Nereus, right? Like, you do have ways to mitigate the fatigue damage, and 2 cards a turn is really powerful. It has a relevant keyword. This is not just a 7/5 blank, which would have, I think, been kind of a disaster. So I think this is a great card. I think I'll definitely be playing it. Again, just because it's a huge amount of reload, if nothing else.
And this does give you an opportunity to maybe like game the system and have cards like the hold in a deck that has minions, because once
Hmm.
you play this, your deck no longer has minions. But
Yeah, it's pretty
so I don't know.
optimistic, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but like you can probably figure something out that will take advantage of this and still have like the synergy with some of the your minion cards or no minion cards or whatnot. So, Pilot, you excited?
Yeah, this is one to where it. I do think it's a little bit harder to evaluate right now, just because, like, I don't know if it goes in current Demon Hunter decks. I think it possibly could. One thing, WorldEight, you brought up Broxgar. One issue with that is the portals. When you kill them, it draws first, then shuffles. So you would take double fatigue damage each turn doing that, because you would draw the empty deck and then shuffle the portal in.
Okay, so just kill him with the 12-12, I suppose.
So
Life
I
is
guess you
hard.
wouldn't take double because you wouldn't take the fatigue at the beginning of the turn. But you wouldn't be drawing the portal instantly because it draws first, then puts the portal in the deck. So you would still have to get your way there to it, but it is a possibility. Um, but yeah, like kind of like WorldEight said, to where just that double 2 cards per turn. You know, if you're a deck that can say, I'm fine if I take an extra 3 to 7 damage over the next few turns, I'm fine with this. And that's kind of the biggest question that the deck has to answer: of, can I take 3 to 4 turns where I'm going to take extra damage because of this? And the effect is going to mitigate that. And most are probably going to be able to say yes, but it is something to where you have to look at.
And what you're saying is like, so we always say like, hey, we can't really evaluate it till we see all the set and all that, but I think one thing, and this is kind of a side, there's a little bit of a tangent. I don't want to take too long of a tangent, but like we always kind of look at these cards and we think about it with like the current meta and stuff. So because that's what we have as a base, right? But I really thought Rag was going to be bonkers when we saw it. Like all that damage come, it ended up being kind of mediocre, right? It was fine and all that. So I think what we really need to try to do is after we get the whole set, not only evaluate it against the current meta, but also start thinking about like, well, okay, sure, this is strong, but what out there, what's new in the meta that's going to affect against it? So maybe we're thinking like, hey, this is going to be bonkers, but then you see that Druid has this thing that's clearly going to take advantage of that, or and I don't think we do enough of that as creators, because just like it's hard because you want to talk about the thing right then, right now. But I think if we like look at these things and go back and be like, all right, yeah, cool. But now that see the whole set, I think Zach does a pretty good job of this, but I don't know how much
Yeah,
he gets into
we
this.
yeah, we have the back and forth of where I'm way too optimistic and I get reality checked a lot, which is fine. I'm excited. I want to be excited about the game, right? So
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
okay. I'll take my lumps when it's bad later. I'll pay that price.
The big
All
thing to
right.
watch with this one is, like, once you play her, anything that says draw is worthless. Draw means more damage to your own face, because your deck is empty. You don't draw from the void. So, don't play this in a Broxigar's Last Stand deck where you're expecting to draw 7 million cards from the void. Throughout the game, you're going to take 7 million fatigue damage instead, which is fine if we had Arana still, but that's wild. We'll continue breaking that, I guess, but not us in standard.
I'm waiting for a rogue player to generate this card and see what kind of shenanigans happens there.
Mhm.
But yeah, right, they can't draw, so that's going to be probably not as good as you think. But speaking of rogue cards that aren't necessarily rogue cards, we have Vanessa the Ringleader. This is basically I think the 12th card and it's rogue card. Not that you can't play it in other things, but it's designed for rogue, right? Or maybe Demon Hunter too. But this is 6 mana, 4/4. Prepare. After you play a card, get a random battle cry minion. It costs 2 less. If you're out there playing on standard right now, you've probably seen at least 1 or 2 rogue players playing this and getting a full board against you, and then either they win or you clear, and they're like, "Wow, I'm sad. The game's over." So it's kind of an interesting way to show what they're doing with prepare. Um, it doesn't feel too powerful, but it doesn't feel it definitely feels like it's playable as well. Um, I I like the idea of prepare. I like the idea of you have like the World 8 said, you have to kind of set up for a power play. But I'm also hoping that there's some prepare cards that are like, hey, I'm gonna float a mana. I might as well prepare. And then when you do that, it's just like a utility, or it's just a little stronger, or something like that. So I'm hoping we're not all looking at big bombs. I'm hoping we're seeing kind of like a mix of things as well. I haven't played with this card yet. I haven't really hasn't really called to me, but like I haven't really had a deck for it. I'm also not a rogue player, so I haven't really thought about it too much. Pilot, what do you think about Vanessa here?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen her enough because she's being played rogue as the most common one. I agree with World 8 to where I think that it could find a spot at the top end of an aggro deck. I might be biased because of the number of times I uselessly rolled the new Dude Paladin Legendary, because that's a battle cry. The double the stats of your Silverhand recruits. In Rogue without a Silverhand recruits, I turned them into a lot of coins with Ancient of the Old Ones or whatever. But like that could be a deck to where I could see this being the top end of a Dude Paladin deck, to where you play, the summon 4, get 4, you know, later on in the game. You play that, prepare with the last of your mana, and then you have a bunch of one cost dudes that you just get a bunch of value out of for another round of gas the next turn. Um, I could definitely see that being something. As far as kind of your point on prepare, Tito, I do think that it is something to where it finds a place very quickly of, well, I was just going to do this I was going to float a mana, or I was just going to kind of uselessly hero power this turn. I might as well do this and reduce the cost by 3. Like, if it's between preparing a card and, as let's say that your mage, doing a ping face, it's probably worth preparing to reduce the cost by 3
But
almost
it's also
every time.
important to note it is important to note that you can only prepare once. So
Correct.
you can't prepare and float a mana and then hey, next time I'm gonna float 2 mana, let's prepare. You can only do it once.
Can
So
never
you
be
have to
over
be
prepared.
judicious. Yeah. I that if they don't have Illidan in some way with this mechanic, we have missed a golden opportunity. Especially if you don't have the voice line that if you play him without like if you play him without preparing him, he says, "You are not prepared." It writes itself. World 8, how excited are you for Vanessa?
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. Um, I mean, first of all, why isn't she a pirate? Let's just get it out of the way. I mean, Van Cleef's they're pirates. And she's
You're
been Nessa
right.
Van Cleef, right? Is she not and get that from her dad? Um, anyway, I think she's very interesting. She's already seeing play. You know, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But then like I did have someone do the big pop off turn, and I didn't quite understand how incredible this was. Like that you could be playing a like basically and effectively like something that costs 0 or costs 2 and then it's 0, or something that costs 5 and now it's 3, and you can have these really gross boards that also fill your hand at the same time. So I was very impressed with that when I actually saw someone do the thing. And as I mentioned, this is just kind of like a can be powerful reload possibly for a deck that's like 14 one drops, right? Like who like that doesn't have like Tolvir in it. I don't think that's really been explored. There's also some other classes that could take use of this that aren't rogue. Shaman has a whole bunch of ways to generate static shocks. Is something else that I was thinking of, right? Whole bunch of cheap stuff, and it's also got a 0 cost minion right now. I don't even think it's on HS Guru for a single player that's played that. But a lot of possibilities here. Again, this is a card that's going to be around for a while, and any time that this card can go to 0, right? And then you could just be playing these pretty gross um boards that again are full refill, even though it's all random. Enough random cheap stuff. This is a lot of mana cheat, right? You're paying 5 and you're probably getting like 10 plus mana back on this one. So I love the mechanic, and again, I'm gonna say this is that they do the prepare and there's shields down for a turn, so you better get in there, and you know that she might not be coming that turn, but she's coming eventually. So keep that in the back of your head.
I like what you were saying about shaman because I'm thinking about maybe we can make an imbue shaman work with this.
Okay, sure, go nuts. I know, I'm serious. Like
Oh
anything
no, I'm
like
gonna try it.
this, yeah, try this. Because Battlecry with imbue is really good. You're absolutely right about that.
Well, I'm more thinking too. You get a bunch of you fill up your hand with a bunch of things that cost 2 mana less, or you play them out, and then that you have like a 7 mana that costs 5, but you imbue it. And I mean, yeah. So I don't know. We'll
Mhm.
see. We'll see. Um.
There is
All
a
right.
token druid on HS Guru that has 15,000 games, Diamond 3 Legend. Um, that token is a little, it's technically token druid. The cheap end is, but then it runs like Elise, Xavius, Amir Drasil, Vanessa, Wickerfang, Bashana, Saladrasil, and a life balloon to finish out Elise. So token druid with some late game.
All right. So I'm thinking like we talk about Morag and then the rogue guy, the rogue girl, and the shaman guy, and call it for that. So as me and Pilot
Yeah,
still have to play a Coin Concede Listener Series match tonight.
yeah. I mean, my thought was if we talk about all the legendaries that have been out, we have Maiev, the other three rule breakers,
Ah,
and the
yeah, yeah,
prism.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So Morag, 10 mana, 6/5 demon. Prepare, which is important. Death rattle.
Hmm.
Summon a random demon from your deck. Give it death rattle. Summon Morag. So this is a never-ending cycle of you play Morag, it summons a demon. That demon summons Morag, and vice versa. So you always have something going here. It's you're never going to play it for 10. You're going to prepare before that. And then it seems like this is kind of an engine that you want to have going as quickly as possible. And then how do you build your deck? Because you have to have you don't want small minions, you want big minions and all that. So I think it's an interesting idea. I think it's going to be something that is always it's one of those decks that says, "Oh, it was almost there. We almost have it. It's almost there." Like it's just and it's never quite there, but it feels good when you win with it. But it's an interesting card. We do have things like Void Lord. We do have things like Green Rag, or no, you can't put a Green Rag in there, but we still have Void Lord. We still have Melganis, I think, a few others. So I don't know. This can be interesting. World 8, are you excited to play a little Warlock here? You throwing this in egg or something, or
Little Warlock. This is Big Demon. Big Demons never work. You should give up on those big demon decks. um, no, I'm kidding. The challenge here is that this is, you if you build your deck around this, you have to find this, right? And Xavius is the best way to find this, possibly, right? And it's a demon. So a
you
little
also have
bit of
Talon?
tension there. Hmm?
Talon.
Oh yeah, yeah. But if you put Talon in your deck, something has gone terribly wrong. Um, it's generally the case. Yeah. I mean, big minion decks they kind of need to be cheating something out on turn 5 or turn 6. And the challenge with Morag is it actually might be a little tricky to kill him. Even if you play him on curve. Now, the one thing that I think is maybe not a lot of other people are thinking of, just maybe because my headspace is in it, is that all the Herald cards actually play really nice with Morag, because that'll kill him at the end of your turn. So if you've got something like the Void Lord, that pops out like right away, or you have the location, you click the like clicking the location in a Morag, that's the curve is super awkward there. But you could pop something out on turn 6 pretty easy there. So I think there's a little bit more possibility just strictly because Warlock already has a subset of things that can kill this. Conflagrate also kills this, by the way, kind of cleanly. Don't forget about that. This is definitely one of those cards where I want to see the rest of the set, because right now the demons that we have, not worth it. And we need some more draw to find Morag in addition to just Savius if we're going to build our deck around it.
Pilot, are you prepared for Morag?
Yeah, it's agreed with World 8 to where, we kind of want maybe one or two better demons. Because right now, if we're trying to do this, we're probably playing Void Lords, the Asphyxiodon, because that's a beast demon. Um, and then the Forge Fiend, the 8/8 get armor, and then the next one is the 7/9 Rush Lifesteal. Um, so like if we could get something else in there that's probably worth it, then it's probably fine. We do have Willow in core that probably goes in this as a backup or as a hey, I've got Marag and now I'm gonna build a bigger board of stuff here. I think the biggest question is finding the support to be able to prepare this to play it early enough. I feel like if you're able to get this down for 5 or 6, you're probably okay with it. Um, but if you're having to play this for 7 or 8, that's probably not worth it over just waiting an extra turn for Willow. And that's kind of where it gets awkward. Yes, you have the Death Rattle resummon it and it kind of cycles through itself. Um, I honestly wonder if it finds a place with the location that we haven't talked about yet that isn't a warlock location, but it's kind of a warlock location. The prison that discards and then summons when the minion comes out, it plays something that you discarded from it. I could see something like that in this where you throw away big demons that you have in your hand and then pop that location early with Welcome Home. And now you've got some big demon coming out for free, quote unquote free. Um, that's kind of the best plan that I could see for it. Other than that, this has always been super awkward.
And this is kind of I thought it was like some of the older cards we had where it was like you shuffle this back in your deck and you pop something else out. This just summons. So if you were to play like Umbra, then you're going to get multiple Marags. You're not going to sustain that because your deck only has so many minions, unless we have something from the new set that shuffles a bunch of
Hmm.
demons in or whatnot. But it isn't a swap. It isn't because we've had swaps before, right? So I don't know.
Hmm.
This will be fun. Um, yeah. So we have also a neutral, a 2 mana, 1/4 Warden Maiev. Uh, After you play a minion, give it +3/+3 and make it go dormant for 1 turn. Um, yeah, this is potentially fairly strong. You're kind of like taking a you're taking kind of a turn off with your minions and stuff like that. So basically 2 turns off because they'll have the summoning sickness next turn unless they have rush when they come out of dormant. But you could potentially get some pretty big things pretty early. You excited for this one there, Mr. 8?
Yeah, I mean the little video that accompanies my Eve here is spot on, right? This is they showcase shaman with 2 rush minions that come out as 4/4s, the 1 mana 1/1s. So yeah, you want to have this like they showcase it on turn 4. It seems very realistic to me. I mean, they didn't showcase, they didn't include the 0 mana 0/1 because it comes at 3/4. Anything that you can play with this that has relevant stats is great. Again, we are talking about maybe some reload for something like the Dude Paladin, where your teamwork or all those 1/1s suddenly become 4/4s, and yeah, they take a little bit to come online, but you put some cheap stuff down, you can get a lot of mana cheat. Because 3/3 is roughly worth like 2-ish, mana, something like
Hmm.
that. And so, she can easily pay for herself. The focus is finding the keywords for this. If you find good keywords for her and she fits in naturally, I think this is a very good card. But I was also like really hyped about the Prince Nexus, right? Like for the similar thing with the spell burst, but like that was like really that almost was just cheesing it. It was never really used in minion decks. So I don't know. 1/4 2 mana. Those are notoriously tricky to kill. Actually, a lot of those 2 mana 1/4s get nerfed along the way.
Hmm.
Because if she sticks for even 1 turn, like things get really out of control pretty fast for your opponent.
And it works with herald cards, right? Because you play it, it jails the herald card, but you get the herald and the like if you're playing like Death Knight, you still get the other thing. So you can still get some tempo out of it. I don't know, it's interesting. Pilot, this seems like a card that's kind of up your alley.
It maybe it looks like a card that I've been baited by before. That's how I feel about it. To where it's yes, it's powerful, with +3/+3 buff on everything, but now you're waiting an entire extra turn before you get to do anything with it if it doesn't have rush or taunt. Those keywords are important. Um, we need the keywords on there to make this worthwhile. We have some of those currently in standard. That said, I do think that this is the standard environment that even just vanilla cheap minions getting +3/+3 probably can make it work. Because we're not in an environment that has brawl and corpse explosion and those big early AoEs, to where you can play this on 2 and dump a bunch of 1 drops on 3, and they're not just going to get brawled on turn 5 before you can do something with them. Um, I think that in this current environment, it's more playable than what it could have been. But I think if we get better early board clears, then this becomes very, very useless.
Fair enough. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over to hold on.
Card library.
Yep, I'm there. Well, all right. So Godfrey the Betrayer. This is, I think, one of the more interesting ones, especially given some of the cards we've already seen from Warlock. And I don't want to get, like I said, let's say Warlock when we have all of them. But Godfrey the Betrayer is 4 mana, 5/4. Start of game. Overdrawn cards return to your hand when you have space. They cost 1 less. So you are no longer overdrawing. Um, it's just yeah, give it, and you have ways to use this is like super handlock, right? So this seems fun. There's already a location, and we'll talk about that later, but it's a 5 mana, I believe 2 durability location that makes a minion. I believe it makes a minion for the size of your hand, like basically the same spell that we used to have. This seems good. This seems fun. This seems like it's going like this is I see this. I'm like, this is something that's going to break wild, potentially. But I don't know. It's definitely breaking the rules. Pilot, are you excited for Godfrey here?
Handlock is
Godfrey.
back. Handlock is back, baby. I'm not a handlock player. So when I looked at this card, I missed that it had a 4th line of text. I saw overdrawn cards return to your hand when they have space, and the cards that they kind of accidentally revealed early with it or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's really good. I didn't realize they come back costing 1 less as well. And it start a game, unlike the battle cry ones where you just get this and hand lock. I think we're gonna have a pretty good hand lock. I know Tito, you don't want to talk about the other cards, but the two for sure make this like, yes, we're going to have a deck. You mentioned the location. If you don't want to pull them up on stream, that's fine. But the location, Inspire Solitude, 5 cost, 2 durability. It's you had mentioned I just blanked on the name of the spell. The one that summoned the taunt, demon with size to your hand. This summons a demon, but it attacks a random enemy minion. So it automatically attacks something, and you get 2 uses out of that, out of the 5. And then we also have a draw spell that costs 10 mana, draw 3 spells, but it costs 1 less for each card in your hand. So if you have a generally full hand, then it's going to cost 1 or 0, and then you just get the cards when you have the opportunity. Now, you will still fatigue if you get down to there. If you just turbo draw with the full hand and draw your whole deck on 5, you will still fatigue early as you're getting through all the stuff you overdrew. But I think this is going to be very, very powerful.
Yeah, I think this is going to be powerful and fun and interesting, and I'm sure somebody's already thinking about how to put into a farm deck. So I don't know. This is good. Orlando, are you excited about gigantic hands of not having no more hand management? Warlock, just I don't care. Just give it all to me right now, baby.
Yeah. I mean, this is handlock is fun. I like handlock. Big giants, kind of fun deck. The location, might be a hair too expensive at 5. But all of this is really enabled by Godfrey. I think in general though, players kind of get too sensitive to overdrawing. When I
Mhm.
let that go, my game definitely improved. I'm like, okay, I overdrew by 1. That's just how it goes. Like I see a lot of players like burn the coin just so they don't overdraw, and I'm like, this is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Not judging, but judging. And so players are definitely gonna play Godfrey. It's quells a lot of the problems they have. The Atlas is a huge payoff for this sort of deck. 1 mana draw 3 kind of stuff, and then you don't even have to worry about the burning the cards. Like
And they'll cost 1
pilots,
less.
yeah, like Pilot said, I don't even know if like they really needed the 1 less. I guess they were playtesting it and they're like, we need a little oomph. So that could also kind of, that's a great incentive to do this sort of thing. Um, well, I think yeah, I think we can start to see the support already, and hopefully it doesn't end here, right? Like it could just be like, well, you
Yeah.
got 3 cards, have fun. But if there's a little bit more fleshed out, I think we're definitely gonna see some handlock, and it's gonna be because Godfrey.
And I'm not I kinda hope they don't have more maybe, like, 1 more card, but I want small packages. I don't want, like, because if they have 4 or 5 cards that go along with this and it doesn't end up hitting or it's not there, then it's just, like, kinda what we've been doing all along. I'm hoping that there's other things you can do with Warlock, but we'll see.
Well, the thing is though, like something like that doesn't need like it's not like a specific keyword or type of card to where it's just like, oh, none of these cards work unless you run them all together. Like Warlock is drawing cards. Like the hero power draws. Like we know Warlock is generally wanting to draw cards to where we just need a mountain giant style card that can still be run in a deck without Godfrey, something that just has a bunch of stuff. And then we're fine. We just don't really have Spire Solitude. The location is the only one that really pays off that because they took Mountain Giant out of core this year. But if we get that plus it was a Dark Alley Pact was the spell, the 4 cost was a 4 cost spell that somebody to taunt with stats equal to the hand size, which here the location costs 1 more, but we're getting to use it twice for that 5 mana using a turn later. I think that that's a fairly fair rate for that. If we just have 1 or 2 other cards that are kind of like that are just generic, if you have a big hand do a good thing, then we're fine. And then
Maybe we
cards that
get
are worth drawing, which is the issue with Warlock right now.
maybe we get a Void Giant that costs 1 less for each card that you have drawn that doesn't go to your hand right away or something. So alright, so I know WorldEight, you want to talk about Muggsy. So Muggsy is a 6 mana, 6/7 start of game shaman card. If your deck has no other minions, get Muggsy's hero power. If this has no spells, get Z's. And oops, hold on,
So
folks.
So Mugs is if you have no minions, Mug is passive. Your first minion each turn costs 2 less. Z, if you have no spells, the 5th minion you play triggers this battle cry twice, so that's also a passive.
So I'm already waiting for the times that I misorder Z's because you know that's going to happen, or it's going to feel really bad when you like your next minion you need to play is the 5th and it doesn't have a battle cry or something like that. So it's going to be interesting. This card seems fun. I have no vision yet. I haven't really thought about it that much, but I have no vision what you do with it. But I kind of like it. World 8, I know you're excited about it. Let's hear about it.
Oh, well, first of all, it's good stats for the cost here. That out of the way, it's I don't know if it's good. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying it's really interesting. In a, I'm not sure where they're gonna go with this. Like, are they gonna support no minions shaman? Like, what does that look like other than and like how do we get the minions in our hands? Other than things like, there's Blazing Invocation, which gets you a random minion, or get you a battle cry minion and things like that. But 2 less, pretty good value if you can find the deck that this is appropriate for. Very likely we don't get critical mass for that sort of deck. Like they'd have to push it pretty hard to give us the incentive to play that, but maybe they do. The one that's more likely is Z, right? The 5th battle cry minion doubles, right? That seems a lot more reasonable to have just a deck full of minions, and you can really almost it's almost kind of like a mini Murloc quest. Think about it that way. Like your 5th battle cry minion needs to be super powerful, but if it is, this card is really good. So you find maybe 4 cards that have really strong battle cries. Then you can go to town with it. I'm not completely sure that that's going to be a good deck, but it's definitely got like the deck builder in me interested in this card.
Shutterblock fans in Wild must be excited about this card.
No, this yeah, I don't know if this card sees play in Wild. They already have a shaman quest that does this that's aggressively mediocre.
Yeah, fair. All right. So, pilot thoughts?
Yeah, I similar to World 8, I don't see how all the spell only one does anything without an entire set or two dedicated to it. Because there are three shaman spells that put minions in your hand. Blazing Invocation that was mentioned, Discover Battlecry, Mountain Map, discover a minion of a type you haven't played yet. If you play it, pick one of the others, and the Herald card that puts the rushes in your hand. And that's it. And
Shaladra gives you a
playing
couple minions.
so I'm looking at shaman only spells. Shaladra does that costs 8. The other neutral spells don't reliably do that unless you go really far down the rewind rabbit hole of Sands of Time. Um, so I don't know what we do with that quite yet because I don't think we have any, and there's no location or anything that just generates minions and stuff in your hand. So that's going to need a lot of support to be worth it, because then you're playing without a hero power. The minion only one, I think, finds a place very quickly because you could probably find a minion heavy deck already that you're okay cutting a couple spells for and being like, yeah, I'll take an extra battle cry instead. Um, to where they're like Elemental Shaman, when we've had that, typically has some payoff spells that you're wanting to play, but you might be worth getting rid of those if the battle cry doubling is going to be worth it. The biggest thing that you're kind of looking for is like, hey, I'm giving up the spells that do damage. So can I make that worth it because of the battle cries? And the answer is probably yes in most cases, but you'd have to look at that to kind of figure it out. I think it'll be played with the minions much, much more than the spells.
And again, we haven't seen the minions that are coming with it, right? So,
Yeah, it's going to need a lot of help in that sense.
all right. So, I think this is the last one we need to talk about tonight. Maybe I'm wrong, but Aya Lotus Kingpin is a 6 mana, 6/3. You always go second, which is their rule breaker. Battle cry: pick an upgraded counterfeit coin to replace your coins this game. It gets 2. And they have a Jade coin, which is gain 1 mana this turn only, summons a Jade Golem. A Grimy coin, which is gain 1 mana, crystal this turn only, deal 2 damage to a random enemy minion. And a Cabal coin, which is gain 1 mana crystal this turn, get a random 1 cost Kazakus potion. So this is fun. You will have coin generators. You can make coins with the ancient there. You can get the hook tusk to get the chest of coins. Um, some of these seem better than others. But I like the concept of, hey, you're always gonna go second, and you can plan for that versus whatnot. This is the first time we've seen any real difference in coins. Like we'd have like counterfeit coins and stuff like that, but they just work the same. So this seems fun. It makes sense. I'm excited about it. I hope it's not so good that Rogue is, but like you're getting more cards with Rogue, so I don't know. You can do this and you play Vanessa and you get some synergy there with the extra coins and could be fun. World 8, you excited for a little Rogue action here?
I think going second is too brutal. It's such a steep thing for a battle cry card that you might not always find. I mean, yeah, the coins can be pretty good, especially if you bust that chest open and you're playing all these jades, right? Like that gets out of control pretty quickly. Um, but we Wishing Well was like a very mediocre deck. I know that was one that Pilot liked a lot, but it was
Yes,
like
yes.
right, like it was the kind of the same thing. Like you
It
upgraded
is
your
very
coins to
mediocre.
give you sort of like a one cost minion, right? Like that's really good. And that was in a meta with like way more coin generation, like metal
Mm-hmm.
detector and stuff like that. And you didn't have to go second with Wishing Well, and there's two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, this needs to do a lot more to overcome that price of going second. I think honestly, the upgrade your coins. Just do that at the start of the game, and then the battle cry for her is
Yes.
maybe a little bit more, like a little bit like she's 4 cost and you get 2 coins or something. I don't know. It's just too brutal to go second, I think. We're not gonna
Well,
see her until she gets a buff.
well, that's what I thought when I processed this when I first saw it. I thought it was start of game, you go second, and you get two of these counterfeit coins to start the game with. And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of an interesting take on things. But yeah, no, it's a battle cry, and you have to find her and whatnot. So I think it would be better if it was start a game, and then you get the coins right away, and she did something else as far as a battle cry. Pilot, are you excited for a little rogue here?
This this card ticks me off. Like looking at the other rule breakers, I am angry that this card exists in the state that it's in. Like I'm gonna be very ranty here, but like I love the design of this card. I absolutely love like the upgraded coins, and it's so cool. And I don't think that they're gonna be, especially because outside of Hooktail, which is not a great card, there's not a ton of coin generation in it. So it's not like Jades are going to be running rampant and we're going to be seeing, the Jade Golems are going to become the new Imbue Druid, because we don't have enough coin generation in standard right now to make that happen. The Cabal coin, you're getting a random potion, a random one cost potion. It could be really good. It could buff the board that you don't have. You don't know. It's random, so you're not planning for anything. Grimy coin only does damage to enemy minions, so it's not like we can use that and break it by going face with it. Like Godfrey is a start of game effect. Godfrey is a start of game effect that is very easy for that class to use and do something with all the card draw that they're wanting to do. And as a 4 mana 5/4, this is a 6 mana 6/3 battle cry before you get to do any of the effect, and you have to go second. Like the six mana cost and the battle cry are what I have a problem with. I'm fine with it costing 6 and being a bad 6 cost if it's a start of game. I'm fine with it being a battle cry if it costs like 4. Like this could cost 4, and I don't think you're gonna break anything.
So not a Tito rant tonight. Tito's not ranting. Pilot's ranting. But I want to
It's
say, I
bad.
want to remind you, we
It's
haven't
so
seen
bad.
any other rogue cards yet, so we don't know if it's. I mean, yes, on the face of it,
Rogue
yes,
doesn't
it's
get
bad. I agree
ramp.
with you.
It doesn't fix it.
But we don't know if there's other more powerful things that involve the coins or whatnot. Like we don't know if there's not more synergy with this. So I would say,
But
s- let's see what
the
happens first. Let's
synergy
see what we're
doesn't
getting
matter
first.
if you have to get your 6 mana battlecry minion on board.
Maybe there's other things. Again, I don't know. We'll talk about when we get Rogue. When is Rogue? Rogue is probably not until like next week or the week after, right?
I
We'll
don't
figure that out.
remember. I
Mhm.
I I just find it very, very bad that you have to play a terrible 6 mana minion. Like a super unstatted 6 mana minion. Guess you get your 2 upgraded coins that might do something. You might get a 1/1 and a 2/2 to go with it on board with the Jade Golems. If you pick that, or you might get 2 potions that do something, but it's such a bad tempo loss, and it's so late in the game. Like that's my problem. You have to wait so long, and yes, you go second, so you get the coin in your hand, so you can play this on 5. And I'm sure that they factored that into it of being like, how early is too early to coin this out and be broken. But man, that seems so bad.
I'm gonna clip this for when we find out week 1 that, like, we need to nerf Aya, and everyone's calling for her head. So we'll
If
see
we
how
have to nerf Aya, I will retire because I obviously don't know anything about this game. I don't see it.
Don't see it yet. All right. So, pilot, final thoughts on the concept of the Escape from Violet Hole before we wrap things up?
Um, Outside of Aya, I'm really excited for a lot of the cards that we saw. We didn't talk about it this week, but I kind of alluded to it. They released or revealed one other neutral, a neutral location, Zermat's Prison. Choose a card to discard as summon a 5/5 taunt. Death Rattle free Zermat who plays one each turn. Like, there's just a lot of interesting kind of different designs in this. It reminds me of some of those sets a few years ago where it's just like, hey, we're just going to do some different stuff, but it actually looks like it's going to be impactful rather than here's different stuff that all relies on it doing. All the cards have to do all the things to make it work. And then, we have ley lines that I lose too much with. Um, but I think there's just a lot of interesting outside of the box things. I love the disguise cycle, being able to play stuff on your opponent's board and that tension of, okay, it could do something really good, but I'm giving them a minion. Like we talked about the warrior one, deal 1 damage twice. Hey, that could clear the token board. Is that worth me giving them a 2/4? Possibly. Or, if we have enraged support that, more than just the 5 costs that buffs, then this goes right into that. So there's a lot of really interesting kind of just hopefully more just toolbox type cards, just stuff to where it's just like they do generically decent things and we can figure out what to do with them. And I
And
see a lot more of that.
the disguise card I think is great because it's like with the like you were saying, like do you use it to clear your board or do you use it to use your own rage minion if we have a rage
Mhm.
support? Y- that can change from game to game. So it's like a nice flexible card where it's potentially like, yeah, this is going to pop all those paladin divine shields, or it's going and kill some dudes, or it's going to make it so that way my frothing berserker is a lot better. I don't know, but World 8, how excited are you for Escape from the Violet Hold?
Yeah, no, I like it. Like I said, reminds me of Nathria quite a bit, like where we had just a bunch of interesting mechanics. Again, more recently, Across the Timeways was just kind of like a good card set, more so than what we've seen in the past. Because I feel like Herald and Quests and Imbue were all like, do the thing, and then the next turn, do the thing +1, and then do the thing +2, right? Like very linear game plans generally. Where all of these, like something like Prepare, is extremely not, or not extremely, but it is non-linear, right? It is, I'm taking a
Mhm.
tempo loss for a swing back. Like I am making a conscious decision here to not go from one to the next to the next. Like that is the kind of science that I like to see. Breaking the rules, I think they're overselling it a little bit. Like we've always been breaking rules, like, like Odin, right? Like I'm turning armor into damage. Like that's breaking the rules too. Uh but what they've shown so far are they've shown some compelling legendaries, especially the start of games. They seem to be doing a bit more than that spore, the Emperor spore. Right, like that was like a weak attempt, right? Like it was like, who is that really for? But these are like Hogger's a much more interesting card. Tito raises his hand when he's like playing the spore guy. But like Hogger's a
I
much more
tried.
interesting card. Yeah, because there is this tension between like, oh, I want to duplicate my legendaries, but playing any kind of deck over 30 is a liability generally, right? Like you
Mhm.
don't want to play like even a 35 card deck. So how do you balance that out? And any of these deck building tensions, I like seeing those cards. Um, and I think it's hard to say right now without the context of everything, but I'm encouraged that it looks like they are trying to keep the power level up, that they're not dipping again. Um,
Mhm.
like something like the Atlas or the new locations, those are the strongest indicators to me that they're like, okay, we're willing to go a little bit more bold with things that we haven't been doing right now.
And I should mention that if you are going into Wild and you are playing a 40 card Reno deck, and this is one of those cards, they have upped the amount of cards that can be in your deck to like 99 or something like that. So if you have 80 cards because you have a Reno deck full of legendaries and it is 10 more than normal, it is covered. So they've thought about that. They've been looking, they see you and they want you to be heard. So good for them. I'm excited, like, but I'm always excited. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, I was excited for Quest, I was excited for Imbue, I was excited for. I get excited until we're sad that it didn't pan out the way it would. Um, it I think Cataclysm, like we had our retrospective last week, but Cataclysm overall was fine. It wasn't the most exciting set, and we also had some rose-colored glasses because we were like, "Yes, it's better than the last 2, 3 sets or whatever." So it was like it had no choice but to succeed unless it was really bad. So, but I think it was good. I'm excited for this. I can't wait to try some of these things. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with some of the other rule breakers and see how they break Paladin and see how they break. I don't want to see what they're going to do with Priest because that's just going to be some control nonsense. And I don't want to. You know how you put. You know how you summon a control priest. You say, "I think this is going to be my last game." You get a control priest. So always. Um, but no, excited. We'll be talking about all the cards over the next few weeks. So World 8, question for you tonight is if you don't count any decks with eggs in them, what was your favorite Cataclysm deck?
Favorite Cataclysm deck? That's a good question. I didn't really play a lot of other ones. That's embarrassing. I guess I really like the Herald. I think I like the Herald Warrior quite a bit actually. It didn't quite connect, but I don't know. I think of all the ones that was probably felt like the right deck for Deathwing. I don't know why. It just felt like the most like fitting one. So probably that
Yeah.
one, even though it was like pretty mediocre and like was overshadowed by the other Dragon Warriors. But I don't know. It was still kind of cool.
It's okay to have mediocre decks be your favorite decks. That's nothing wrong with that. That's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
on brand for some of us.
That
And actually,
that is the
you
standard for this podcast.
yes, and it's just kind of funny too, is because people are even commenting in bread and butter on like the videos and stuff saying World 8, yeah, he is the egg champion or whatever, so you've become known for egg. You're just gonna have to figure out a new gimmick as of the year of the whatever the next year is. um well, if you'd like to support our show, you can do so by joining us over at patreon.com/bread and butter HS, where you get access to raw audio early, access to members channel on Discord. You can help shape future questions if you want to. And if you'd like to help us in a non-financial way, you can let people know about the show and let us know how we're doing. Patron of the month again is Beacon. I think Beacon Beacon. I want to say Beacon, but I think it's Beacon.
I think it's Beckon.
Um, I think it's Beacon too. And if you want to, you can just leave us a review. It really helps, especially those 5-star reviews. It makes us look really good. Because we are really good. So and you can also find us Bread and Butter HS on YouTube. World 8. If someone wants to talk to you about eggs or other things, where can they find you?
Well, I guess they find me on the show now. But as usual, find me on Discord, World 8, all letters. Just send me a message. Usually pretty receptive on a lot of the Hearthstone discourse to begin with, and otherwise I don't really chat too much on socials anymore, so that's probably your best bet.
Have you noticed we have him on the podcast all the time, Pilot, but yet we've never been invited to the VS report? Pilot, where can people find you on the social media?
Can find me Pilot712, that's Pylet, on Twitter and Blue Sky. I exist in those spaces, but don't check them very often. Best chance if you want to reach out to me is through Discord. I'm in the Bread and Butter Discord as well as a handful of other Hearthstone Discords.
And you can find me at Tito Santana HS on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and many other places. I will be on those platforms. So if you want to reach out to Pilot and WorldEight and you're not on Discord, just tell me. I'll reach out to them. It'll be fine. Yeah. So WorldEight, anything you'd like to promote or shout out this week?
I mean, I'd shout out to anyone graduating. It's every year people are like, oh, this is like a crazy year, or like things are changing. But I feel, any graduates this year, especially those coming out of college, this is a very tumultuous time. It's very challenging. The workforce is changing, I think, just as rapidly now as it did like when the like Web 2.0 and the internet came first. Like these are generational shifts. So whatever you've been learning might not be applicable on your first job, and housing market's tough. Or even if you're going into college is changing a lot too. What the landscape looks like when half your class is cheating, and they're just unashamedly doing so. So, I'm rooting for all the good eggs out there that are graduating and did their best through whatever they're graduating from. And life is can be tough, but life is also beautiful and wonderful.
The, Thinking about that, it's going to pay off if you know what you're doing versus the people that are cheating, because then eventually you have to show up. I
Mm-hmm.
remember in my first year of typing in high school, I got like low B, high C because I was trying to do the right thing on home row and have my hands in the right spot, and everyone else was just flying through things. But then year two, I was typing 160 words a minute or something like that, and I was able to like get all my work done for the week on like day one and have like the rest of the week off as like studies, and everyone else was stuck there because they didn't figure out how to actually type. So do the work. It'll pay off in the end. Pilot, you think a promoter shout out this week?
Yeah, shout out to you two for being patient with me being late. It was a much longer day. I figured it'd be a long day because it was a bigger event. We had 24 people today, but we started late and had extremely slow players today. So started at 2 and I got home at 10 to let you kind of know what that is. And I didn't make the final. Um, so thank you to you two for being patient, and kind of with that shout out to the Lorcana community as they jump into set champs this month. May you know have fun with it. It's last set before rotation. I think there's a lot of decks. Play something that is enjoyable and fun. And then also shout out to kind of our friends over at Squelch. I'm repping the Squelch shirt today, and it apparently brought me some good luck today. So shout out to Dano, Storm Rage, and Matt over there. Even though they're not in the Hearthstone space anymore, still awesome people and always fun to listen to talk about the games that they're playing.
Storm Rage is still in the Hearthstone adjacent space because they do occasionally talk about Hearthstone on the podcast. I'm going to shout out Ridiculous Hat for coming on the show last week. That was a lot of fun. Didn't have to do that, especially considering he's not in this space anymore. And if you are here and discovered this because you followed Ridiculous Hat and just wanted to hear him again, we appreciate you stopping by. I'm going to apologize to my co-host and my guest co-host because I did say I didn't think this was going to be that long of an episode. It ended up being pretty much a little above average. And I'm also going to shout out to Pilot's cats who have been overly aggressive today, even for them.
I've been gone all day.
Pilot's getting a workout, just picking them up, putting them down, picking them up, putting them down, picking them up, putting them down. So good for them. But anyway, guys, I think we're toast. We'll see you.
See ya. See ya.
At least the one that always jumps in the way is the small one. Like the black one weighs like 8 pounds, if that. So she's easy to move. This
Fair
one is like 15 pounds, and it claws in. He takes effort.
Fair.
Pilot,
Fair.
I was saying this before the show. Pilot, are you a Vicious Syndicate supporter? Do you have access to the supporters channel?
No.
Okay. Yeah, because Evil Dave put the promo in the supporters channel, and then everyone was like chatting about me and Zeddy. And then someone was like, why don't you guys have Zeddy and WorldEight on the show at the same time? I was like, actually, we did that about a year ago.
Did you link it to the episode?
I did, yeah. So maybe
Yeah.
some people to check it out. Old
Yeah.
episode, because there's a lot of people in that Discord that kind of like dump on him. To be frank, because he can be kind of, he speaks his mind, right? And some people
Yes.
disagree with that. But I had a positive experience with him on this podcast. He seems like he's actually, he's not a hothead or anything when he comes on here, at least. And so I was kind of defending him a little bit, but that I don't think that went over that well because I think he offends a lot of people too. But
I I think a lot of it is from his older, like, I think he's way more mild than he used to be, and,
Yes.
yeah, I think that too. Where and there's still a bit of showmanship there, but you kind of have to,
Mm-hmm.
if that's what you're doing. Like I think he definitely like well, anyway, you could talk to him next week about it, but I was kind of like, yeah, it seems like just like a very engaged nerd, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what it seemed to me.
yep.
So,
I can't remember if I listened to the first episode here he was on, or if my first one was the one that I was on, like the first time that we were both on. But that changed my opinion of him a lot. Like,
yeah,
but I hadn't interacted with him much. I just kind of knew that, the what was before. I'm like, oh, this is very different than what I thought it was, and it was very enjoyable.
yeah.
Well,
So,
I had him on because he was on an episode of Coin Concede, and he's like, sounded like he was moving. He wanted to move in a different direction, and at that time, Cora had been like kind of like working with him to like kind of tone his rhetoric down. And there are
Hmm.
other people just as divisive as him in the space that I think are that haven't learned the lessons that he has,
Yep.
and so I'm not going to go into too much more detail there, but I think Zeddy has grown and shown growth. So because I always said, like, I used to have Zeddy blocked, and I wanted nothing to do with him. And I said, he's smart, he can change if he did it. And then he did start to change, and I'm like, well, if he's going to do that, then a lot of people are just like, whatever. They've already, but I've said, hey, if you change, I'm going to follow you and do that, and he did. So I don't know. I think that makes a difference. Pilot, put your
well,
ban in if you haven't yet.
That's what I'm working on right now.
all right. Have fun, guys. May the best man win.
Oh, you're
That's
you're
just
you're casting. You didn't know that?
I'm
it's
casting. I could
it's
cast. That's fine.
it's
I'll
win
do
it's
that.
winning in for top 8.
Well, no,
It's
I don't get in, do I?
no, it's winning in.
All right,
There
cool.
are there will be, right? Did I look at this correctly? Oh, I should hit the button here first.
All right. Well, if you want me to cast it, I'll cast it. Otherwise,
No,
I'm
no,
not
I'm
now.
kidding because we don't have anything set up for it, and we probably
Okay.
we need to shut the stream down, all that. But
Yeah, it'll
All right.
be there's 140, there are 3 ones,
All right. Take it
and
easy,
there will
guys.
be 4
make it
2
straight.
2s. So yeah, there will be 4
All
2
right.
2s with, that's it. So it is win in.
All right. Well, I will shut the stream down, and I will meet you over and get your ban in, and we'll figure that out.
My band is in. I had to find a
All right.
spot. I didn't show it on stream because it was too big. I did use some of my prize money to where they had the Toy Story Pizza Planet truck
Oh, very nice.
Funko. I'm like, yes. I'm like, it's basically free. I used
Yeah.
prize money on that, and I still have like $60 left from the tournament winnings because the Illustrals box was, they do TCG player prices even on sealed boxes, so it's
Nice.
like $70 or something, 75 rather than whatever it is MSRP.
Very nice. All right. I will see you in Hearthstone. And thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll be back next week with Zeddy.